Fears keep rising in Gaza,
I can confirm that they are not going to Israel.
with the Israeli Defense Force preparing for a larger offensive. Students speak out about the Israel-Hamas war,
I'm with the Palestinian people, but we are not with Hamas.
expressing their concern for civilians. And a miracle for a family,
The doctors at NCH have worked tirelessly.
after a missing woman has been found alive. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Christina J. Harris.
I'm Valentina Gaspar. Today is Friday, October 27th, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
A town in lockdown while the shooter is still loose. This morning, the manhunt for the shooter who took 18 lives in a local bowling alley in Maine continues.
Many counties in Maine will be on lockdown today, with businesses and schools mandated to be closed amid the search for the shooter. Authorities say they are searching for any signs missed before the tragedy, following reports of him behaving erratically at an Army training facility this past July.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of review of this and a lot of analysis. Was there something missed? Was he deemed a danger to himself or someone else?
Officials say that more than 100 law enforcement personnel are involved in the search, including the Massachusetts Police State Department, which was deployed at the Maine border.
Roughly 900 U.S. soldiers are headed to the Middle East this morning. The Pentagon made the announcement yesterday, but insists that the U.S. is not joining the Israel-Hamas conflict. Instead, the goal is to provide more protection for U.S. forces and interests overseas.
I can confirm that they are not going to Israel, and that again, they are intended to support regional deterrence efforts and further bolster U.S. force protection capabilities.
The deployed forces are coming from Fort Bliss, Fort Sill, Fort Liberty, and Fort Cavazos. This latest conflict between the Israelis and Palestinians has caused more than 1,400 deaths in Israel and nearly 6,000 in Gaza.
A pair of demonstrations in South Florida to draw attention to saving civilians in the Middle East. As Caplin's Leanne Abu Tarbush reports, one of Wednesday's reports were pro-Israeli and the other was pro-Palestinian.
Protests amid the war in Israel are intensifying, and here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis is calling universities to deactivate any pro-Palestinian chapter. But FIU Students for Justice in Palestine refuse to remain silent.
Hey, ho, ho! This occupation has to go!
We as Floridians, we as Americans have the right to say what we want to say and protest. It is our right as American citizens. And he can try and shut us down, but we will not leave without a fight.
The pro-Palestinian people told me they are not trying to eradicate Israel or inflict any violence or hate on the Jewish people, but they're asking for a ceasefire and ultimately an end to the occupation and the apartheid system in place.
We do not support the killings of anyone. We do not support Hamas. We are not Hamas. We want a ceasefire on Gaza, and we want freedom for the Palestinian people living under an apartheid state.
You can't say anything because it's going to appear to be anti-Semitic, when that's not true. Because no one here right now, I believe, in my heart, is anti-Semitic.
Pro-Israeli people, on the other hand, said they want the hostages to return to Israel and for Hamas to be eliminated.
We are with the Palestinian people, but we are not with Hamas.
Sebastian, on the pro-Israeli side, shared with me what he thinks could aid in ending the conflict with Hamas.
And when Gaza is done, when there's no more, we will rebuild together, and the Palestinians will be let in again.
What's happening in Gaza has shifted to a humanitarian catastrophe rather than a political issue, with over 7,000 Gazans killed in less than 3 weeks, and 40% of whom are children. There's also still a blockade on aid, and hospitals are on the verge of collapse.
As the international community fails to act, more people will take to the streets demanding for a ceasefire and an end to the occupation. I'm Leanne Abu Tarbush reporting for Caplin News.
Courts and campaigns as a judge levels a fine, one of his political opponents levels criticism. We begin in the courtroom in New York City. After agreeing to reconsider, a judge in Trump's civil fraud case yesterday reaffirmed his decision to levy a $10,000 fine against the former president for violating a gag order. Meanwhile, the president's 2024 opponent, Ron DeSantis, was on CNN last night, chalking up Trump's lead in the race to personality, not politics.
he's the most famous person running, 100% name ID. He's the person people know. When you actually drill down in these early states, clearly he's got some that'll vote for him no matter what, but there's a lot more that aren't going to vote for him in the primary.
And the special counsel looking into Trump's 2020 fundraising practices has decided to withdraw a subpoena. The subpoena sought information into the former president's failed re-election campaign.
The U.S. Supreme Court is going against Governor Ron DeSantis and his multi-billion-dollar agreement to allow online sports betting. If the agreement goes through, online sports betting will be available in Florida. The agreement is rumored to generate around $2.5 billion in revenue within 5 years. In 2022, Ron DeSantis signed a law that was approved by the U.S. Department of the Interior.
It's that time of year for a time change, except it could cause some headaches. A majority of Americans wind their clocks back an hour for daylight savings time ending on November 5th. According to an expert from the University of Southern California, quote, "That's hard on the body." The expert even brought up having migraine medication and or painkillers to help throughout this time.
A new law in Maryland provides free health care for expected mothers within an income threshold regardless of their immigration status. Caplin News' Paloma Pimentel has more on the new bill.
Maryland used to require undocumented pregnant women to have an immigration status and to lawfully reside in the state for health insurance. It wasn't until July 1st of this year that the city passed its Healthy Babies Equity Act, which allows undocumented pregnant women to access federally funded health care throughout their pre- and postpartum pregnancy. A group of postpartum women and their children gathered this morning for a centering reunion where they each expressed their birth experience to their doctor and played games that for some welcomed their new journey as parents, all while sharing food and laughs. We spoke to the clinic's doctor and provider about what this gathering also means on the medical side.
On the back side, or on the medical side, we're making sure that their vital signs still look stable, there's no blood pressure issues, that they've made their postpartum appointments or at least have them scheduled. So it's just a way for us to connect with them now post-baby, and then also making sure that they have their care scheduled.
The new Healthy Babies Act proved to be a blessing for many mothers today. We are now going to speak to some of them and get to know more of their process. I got health insurance for my child here. When we came to the meetings, they gave us Pampers and other valuable resources like car seats. For me, it's better here because I live close, only 10 minutes away, and it has become easier for me to get what I need, where if I don't have something or I can't make an appointment, they would send me a car if I couldn't come. But since I'm always driving, I never took that service. Free healthcare for undocumented pregnant women in the U.S. is rare, but not for states like California, Colorado, Illinois, Oregon, New York, and Maryland. I am Paloma Pimentel reporting for Caplin News.
Two of the remaining Beatles say farewell to their careers with a finished song from John Lennon.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
She's doing wonderfully. The doctors at NCH have worked tirelessly to bring her back to life.
One family was fearing for one relative until they heard the good news. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
found at last and at an unusual place. A nonverbal 80-year-old woman with Alzheimer's was found in a neighbor's garage after missing for 6 days.
WBBH reporter Ryan Arbogast has more on the story.
Miracle. 80-year-old Margaret Galloway is alive and well tonight.
She's doing wonderfully. The doctors at NCH have worked tirelessly to bring her back to life for us. What they were delivered by EMS was somebody who was knocking on heaven's door.
The nonverbal woman with Alzheimer's wandered off from her home inside the Crown Points community last Monday. And we now know she spent 6 days living in this garage just a half a mile from her own, with no light, no food, and just one bottle of water.
I was terrified because it was the first time she never walked away like that. And I was totally shocked.
This is how Collier County deputies saved Galloway's life. A blip, a flash, whatever you want to call it. You can see a grainy speck appear on a neighbor's Ring camera, across from the home along Piccadilly Circus in East Naples. That image is Galloway, stepping into her garage that was accidentally left open while the homeowner was on vacation.
One frame that just happened to be shot at a 6-minute interval, just as she disappeared into that garage, and the very next frame, that garage door was closed. And if Detective Nudie had not seen that, we would not be where we are now, living this possibility.
Her daughter Mary says deputies checked the home Sunday, finding her mom unconscious on the garage floor. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, but not before a very important family reunion.
When they found her and she was able to open up her eyes, she was able to see her whole family right there.
That was Ryan Arbogast from WBBH reporting. The Galloway family wants to thank everybody who made this rescue a possibility, including Southwest Florida nonprofits and the Collier County Sheriff's Office.
The last song by the Beatles is expected to come out next month. The last two Beatle members, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, worked together on a song originally written by John Lennon. Both Paul and Ringo finished the song after it was written 4 decades ago. It is considered by McCartney as the last Beatles song. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
I could really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes?
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Panther in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Valentina Gaspari.
And I'm Christina J. Harris. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.